welcome back to my channel. Or if it's your first time here, just welcome. So, I recently finished reading The Hobbit around last week, which, if you haven't read The Hobbit, why are you here? It's like a barely 300-page book. It has got easily digestible chapters. It's designed for kids, really. Go read it. It's one of the easiest reads that I've had to read in the last while. I mean, go read it. And because I'd finished reading it, what I like to do when I finish reading books is look into what people have to say about it online to see if their opinions kind of match up with mine. Now, I'm not really a hardcore Tolkien fan, but there's been some very silly theories that I've noticed online that, even with my passing knowledge of Tolkien lore, just seemed really, really fucking stupid to me. Now, some of these theories I kept on saying was how Gandalf is actually sort of villainous in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and that's silly. That's just silly. I'm not even going to dignify that with like a swearing tirade. That's just silly. So, regardless, what we're going to be discussing in today's video is if Gandalf is a villainous type of character in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I've seen two major sources of the sort of narrative that Gandalf is evil. The first one was a Reddit post that I actually found an article of, but I couldn't find the original Reddit post, so I'm just going to be quoting the article that's quoting the Reddit post, where it's basically saying that Gandalf had the key for the Lonely Mountain, but he couldn't get it to work. So he got all the dwarves to go with him because they would be able to get it to work, but basically he wanted all the treasure for himself, so he kept on going. When he was disappearing, he was actually just hiding from them and hoping that they'd die, and then he'd swoop in and save like 3 or 4 of them or something. But basically, the narrative that this Reddit post is making is that Gandalf wanted all of them gold and all the treasure for himself. This is pretty fucking moronic if you know anything about actual Lord of the Rings lore. Gandalf is a Maiar, an angel in human form, basically, but what would he have any use for gold and riches? None. He has no use for it whatsoever. One of his only purposes, if for to exist on Middle-earth, is to destroy evil, defend humanity, and elves and shit too, but you know what I mean. What does an angel need gold and jewels for? I mean, for those of you that don't know, Gandalf, to simplify it, is basically like Archangel Tyrael in Deckard Cain's body.
Fool! You have just ensured the doom of this world.
Stay a while and listen.
What reason does he have for money? If he really wanted money, he's a fucking wizard. I'm sure the kings of men would shower him in riches if he really asked. And on top of this, what did the dwarves add that he didn't have himself? I mean, it was his idea to go to Elrond to get the map translated to begin with. If he just needed the map, why didn't he just take Thorin? This is silly, and I don't like it, and it got a lot of coverage, and I think it's really silly. That's all I can say. It's a stupid theory. The next theory is from a very old Cracked video made from like when the first Hobbit movie came out. And you know what? I actually miss Cracked sometimes because some of their pulp culture discussion videos could actually have some very good points of view, and some intriguing ideas. But watching this video makes me go, I'm glad Cracked's over.
Or was he kind of a social Eeyore, just tired of being ignored the whole time? I mean, nothing in the film implies that he was evil. He's just a wizard wearing a white robe, head of the White Council, and all the legitimate points he brings up are ignored. When he says things like, hey guys, Radagast does a lot of mushrooms, maybe we shouldn't trust his testimony. Or, hey guys, maybe we should just listen to the facts. What happens?
I'm pretty sure Saruman's never said, hey guys.
Galadriel telepathically interrupts him and has an entire different secret conversation with Gandalf in front of him. It's rude. It's like passing notes in class. Disrespectful and childish.
So basically, the corruption of Saruman wasn't because of the Palantir or him talking to Sauron or anything like that. It was because Gandalf was having secret conversations with Galadriel and ignoring him. This is stupid and I hate this. On top of this, it's not even based on the book whatsoever, it's just based off the movie, which, if you know anything about the book, you know the movie has, like... Okay, if I can be frank here, I actually like the first movie, because some of the additions I think are clever, but I think the whole White Council additions, I don't think they're very good. And basically, if you're going to be making any theories about the movie, you can basically just chalk up any clues to theories to being, oh, it's because they had no time for pre-production and they just fucked up. Like, any of these, like, ooh, maybe Gandalf, nope, it was just a fuck up. They didn't do it on purpose. They just had a shitty script. Which is a shame, because they actually had some really good parts of the script, but that was when it was almost ripped directly from the book. Anything they had to write themselves was silly. But like I said, I actually like the first Hobbit movie. I mean, the Riddles of the Dark segment is actually amazing, but it's just too bad the other movies went down a different road. The last little theory I actually found on Quora, which is this really annoying website where if you go on it once, they'll send you emails forever. But I couldn't find it again. Like, I keep on, this happened to me twice when making this video, where I found a cool thing and then I couldn't find it again. This is not a tell that I'm lying. I actually had an itch on my ear. So this theory goes as follows, as far as I can actually remember. It basically says that one of the reasons why the hobbits dislike Gandalf so much is that he's constantly luring them away to go on adventures. This is kind of backed up in the book, whereas basically their point is maybe he's always making hobbits go away because he wants the hobbits to help him with the quest for the ring, which I don't think makes much sense, because if that was the case, wouldn't he, as soon as Bilbo finds a ring that lets him go invisible, would he not go, oh yeah. But, and actually, he doesn't actually know about the invisible ring for a long time, but wouldn't he have kept more tabs on them if the point that he brought Bilbo with them for was to find the ring? Wouldn't he have kept better tabs on them, and he would have known that he had an invisibility ring? I just think that part's just silly. The other part of the theory actually does make sense, where it talks about how Gandalf is basically manipulating Bilbo and the dwarves and all of them into doing what he wants to do, which is actually, that makes complete sense. Like, he puts the mark on Bilbo's door without his consent. He is implied that he almost hypnotizes him because Bilbo loses gaps. He has gaps in his memory when he's contemplating going back home, and he's saying the more and more he goes back home at the end of the novel, the less and less tookish he feels like, and the more and more Baggins he feels like, and so it's basically almost like the spell is lifting. So there could be a good argument for that he's hypnotizing Bilbo and tricking him into going, but I don't think it's for some ulterior motive to find the ring, because I don't think people just really want to tie the Hobbit and the Fellowship and Lord of the Rings together, but they're not. A true prequel to the Lord of the Rings is Silmarillion. It's not The Hobbit. The Hobbit is almost like a side story. The only thing it has in common is the ring. Other than that, the only characters that recur is Bilbo and Gandalf. I'm pretty sure. I don't think Thranduil comes back. Does he? Or he's not even called Thranduil. He's just called the Elven King. Does the Elven King come back? I don't think he does. Maybe I'm betraying my lack of knowledge. I haven't actually read the Lord of the Rings books in a while, so maybe I'm betraying my lack of knowledge. Oh well. I don't know why people have this kind of obsession with theories about Gandalf being evil. I mean, is it just because he's manipulative? Just because he manipulates people to do the right thing does not make him evil. Like, he does manipulate people, but he does it for a greater good, sort of thing, and that's kind of his job as a Maiar, as a wizard that was put down on Middle-earth. That's his job, is to try and get people to do the right thing. Well, the right thing for his master's bidding, or his bidding, rather. But he's not evil. He's just not. Definitely not it's just that in Tolkien's kind of world of black and white, good and evil, Gandalf is, ironically, the Grey. It's in his fucking name. He's Gandalf the Grey. He doesn't tell the whole truth. He kind of manipulates people. He's so, like, I don't know. I just think people really want to go, well, he's not automatically 100% good. That means he must be 100% bad. But I just think, no. Shades of Grey. Literally, it's in the name. It's in the fucking name. It's in his name. Basically, I don't think Aloran or Gandalf was a villain, because he wasn't. It's just how it goes. Also, isn't Tyrael basically Gandalf? If you think about it in Diablo... Oh yeah, spoilers for Diablo 3, if you guys actually care. Because in Diablo 3, Tyrael, like, comes down into human form. And Blizzard have ripped off tons of stuff before. Just look at Warcraft and Starcraft, which are basically Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k. Blizzard, goddammit, why can't you have any original ideas? I was making fun of GW for not having any original ideas. Why can't you have any original ideas? Like, come on. As a quick aside, this totally isn't so that this video goes over 10 minutes and the YouTube algorithm likes me. There's some kind of clunky shit in The Hobbit. My favorite example is towards the end. I'll find the exact reference and put it on the screen. When Bolg shows up, and Gandalf like breaks up the fight, and the Battle of Five Armies, and he goes, "Bolg, son of that one orc, is here. He's coming." He has to put an annotation, a little asterisk in the bottom, and go, "Oh yeah, that orc was mentioned on page whatever. He's the guy from Moria that they did the fighting. They did the fighting." So, like, that was one thing that the fucking the movies did better, is that they actually made Bolg a character, because in here he's just, "Oh yeah, he's that guy. He's the son of that guy that was mentioned in chapter 5 or whatever the fuck." Like, that's kind of clunky. I mean, Tolkien's a great writer, but that's kind of clunky. Now, I'm an amateur writer. I write things, but one thing I'm constantly told in all the YouTube videos of like how to be a better writer is don't have your characters have their names start with the same letter, or don't have similar sounding names. Even George R.R. Martin talked about this, but he said he was more an excuse for it. It's like if you have more than 26 characters, it's bound to happen. But yeah. Just as I'm gonna read them out because I know that if I just say them, I always forget one. Dwalin Balin, Philly, Killy Philly, Dory Nori Ori, Oin Gloin, Biffer Buffer, Bumber, and Thorin. So if one of the greatest writers of the last century, Tolkien, can make these 13 of his main characters, Dwalin Balin, Philly, Killy, Dory Nori Ori, Oin Gloin, Biffer Buffer, Bumber, Thorin, why can't I have two characters that have a name that sounds similar or have an O at the beginning of it? I mean, I think I'm not arguing that it's good. It's because the ones that have the same names are the ones that are related, and I think that's what you should do. Is if you have characters with similar sounding names or names that start with the same letter, you should have them be related either by kinship or thematically in your book. But I'm being told that you never do that. That's completely no. Like, if you're that much of a moron that you're confused by the fact that two characters have a name that starts with the same letter and you can't tell them apart, I'm sorry. The stuff I'm writing is way below your fucking reading level. You need to go back to the Golden Key. Go back to fucking Roald Dahl. You won't understand the plot. I mean, come on. In real life, there's people with that their names start with the same letter. In my primary school, there was like Jason, Jack, Jake, John. I know people named James, Jim, Jamie. Like, it's just as an example, it's kind of realistic to have people whose names start with the same letter. You can't just have everyone have a different name with a different starting letter, because it just seems unrealistic. It seems too contrived. To me, anyway, it seems very contrived. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So I hope you like this video. It's like part of like a fantasy portion of the newer videos I'm trying to do, because usually, if you don't know, if you're coming from from Reddit or something, I'm usually doing now gothic horror and some literature stuff. So like I did like one Shakespeare video, and this is kind of me starting to do more fantasy as well. Yeah. You can watch some of those other videos. They should be either coming up on screen soon or they're already on here. I'm not sure. Also, as a quick last bit, I want to thank everyone for their continuing support that have been watching the newer videos. I've had a lot of feedback, people saying that they prefer these videos than my older content, which I agree with, because these, I feel like, actually have a point and aren't as rambly and attempting to be funny. It's just me talking, or slightly scripted like this one, or my History of Vampires videos are more scripted, whereas my Gilles de Rais was just bullet pointed. So I'm kind of glad people are enjoying this content more. And I hope people will continue to support it into the future, and I hope more people continue to support it. And please remember to like, subscribe, comment, watch some of the other videos. YouTube loves interaction. They love comments, likes, subscribes, and they love long watch time. So binge the other videos, give them a rewatch, or if you haven't seen them before, watch them again. Thank you, and I'll see you next week for an undecided video topic.